Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world. Hello and welcome to another this week's news roundup. It's new, I haven't got used to the title yet, and it is the 14th of January 2024. Where this is where we just look back at the week's news for the last 7 days, and we look at the main news of the week. We look at news from around the world, and then we look at stuff that makes you go, so yeah, join in the chats, feel free. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, let people know what's going on. I also give my opinion as well, which you may or may not agree with, but that's part of the reason why I do this, so we can actually get an idea of what people are actually thinking about stuff. Because we see the news all the time, and we very rarely actually discuss it with people. And if we do, we only do it in passing. But here, you can do it proper, like in it. So feel free to join in the chat and say hello. You'll get a shout out at the end as well if you join in the chat, so it's well worth doing. If you listen to the podcast, then check out the podcast playlist as well. You can listen to various other ones as well. JT, I'm trying to keep these down to about an hour now, so they're not good for you when you listen to these at work and you're on your break. Well, you think you're on your break because it's finished. Anyway, let's get the road on the show, shall we? And let's look at the main news of the week. Now, both the main news stories of the week have been towards the end of the week. The first one was on Wednesday. 21 drones sent by the Houthis against ships in the Red Sea were shot down by the United Kingdom and United States. The following day, Thursday, it was reported that the United States and the United Kingdom were on the brink of military action against the Houthis, who are targeting the ships in the Red Sea. Basically, a lot of ships now are going a long way around, which takes 10 days longer, and is, well, it's just more expensive. Apparently, it costs £1 million to sail a ship for 10 days, longer than normal. Who knew? Which brought us to the news overnight on Friday morning. We found out that the US and UK have carried out military strikes on Houthi, including Houthi installations, leaving at least 5 people dead and many people injured as well. They took off from aircraft carriers. They also took off from where was it? Where was it now? I can't remember. There we go. Cyprus. The UK troops took off from Cyprus and bombed various areas. Now, I can see why they've done it, and it all makes sense to a degree, but as far as I'm concerned, we are not the world police. And when does it ever end well? When the United Kingdom and America get together and start doing stuff in the Middle East? The answer is it never ends well. It always ends badly. And when I say badly, I mean badly. So I don't quite understand what the logic is. If it's just to save money for people and stuff like that, then it's I don't know. I mean, we're going on about what's going on in Ukraine and what's going on in Gaza, and then the Americans just go ahead, along with dragging English in it, and just start bombing stuff. But that wasn't the only thing that went on this week. Another main news story was weirdly at the Hague of the International Court of Justice, where amazingly, of all the countries in the world to get upset, South Africa have said that Israel are basically carrying out genocide on the people of Gaza. Now, genocide is one of them words that's bandied around quite freely. Hiya Angela, hope you're good. But it doesn't necessarily concur that what's going on at the moment is genocide. I may have accidentally used the word a few times at the beginning of the conflict in October, but I've since changed it to ethnic cleansing. They are basically clearing out all the Palestinians from Gaza, moving them further and further south, and then continually bombing them. I think South Africa, human rights, not necessarily got a glowing record, shall we say, with human rights. However, they do have a point, which is what I've been saying for a long while, that what the Israelis are doing is, well, over the top. I'm not defending Hamas at all. Hamas, what they did on October the 7th was disgusting, horrendous. It's just awful what Hamas did, and there's no way that you could ever say that it wasn't. But to kill innocent civilians, children, women, old people, that kind of thing, it just doesn't balance with me at all. Never has done. Israel says it's self-defense, but it turns out that 30,000 homes have been destroyed or damaged, and also we're now looking at about 23,000 people dead in Gaza. Israel says on the following day, Friday, that the case should be thrown out over genocide in The Hague, reminding the world of how it started. We know how it started. We were aware of what went on, and what I don't understand is why Israel allowed what went on October the 7th to go on, unless of course it was a way of, we can actually use this in our advantage in the future, and we can go and destroy and do what we want with Gaza. Who we got on? I hope you're well, and Silences too. Yes, I'm not bad. I've had an interesting week, Luke, but thank you. Well, apparently I'm online, who knew? Quick look at the news around the world for this week. So Monday, Blinken arrives in Israel to try and stop the war spreading. Hamas say 250 people were killed overnight. United Airlines say they found loose bolts on Boeing 737 MAX airlines. Remember the one that blew out, the door blew out on the aeroplane. Thankfully no one was injured, but the plane landed safely. Farmers in Germany held a go slow on autobahns after the government reduced fuel subsidies. Rugby paid tribute to JPR Williams, who died at the age of 74. Now, I remember him when I was a youngster, being a very successful rugby person, and very Welsh as well, boyo, and all that. But yeah, sadly he's passed away. And Idris Elba, of all people, demanded a ban on zombie knives and machetes. He knows that it won't solve the problem immediately, but you can't understand, as can anyone if you think about it, why you're allowed to buy zombie knives, which are the knives that have the blade with the point on and then the zigzags, and then often bits cut out in the actual blade itself, so that when it goes into the zombie, you can cut it better. Hi from the Welly Massive. Hiya Hamilton. Hope you're good. Like I said before, join in the chat if you want to. And you can either agree, disagree, or whatever. It's entirely up to you. Whoops. That brings us nicely to Tuesday. Paula Venables gave back her CBE. Now, Paula Venables was one of the people who was pursuing the sub-postmasters for basically something they'd not done, and many went to prison, many got fined, many went bankrupt. A good few committed suicide because of it, and it turned out it was nothing to do with them. It was all to do with the Horizon software that they've been given in the post office. And she said in the House of Parliament that she believed and she knew that there was nothing wrong with the actual software, and therefore all these people must be criminals. It's amazing to think that in one day you could lose £1 million in a company on the same day. So everyone who works for the post office decided, you know what, today we're going to rob you. It just beggars belief, and hopefully she ends up in court and she gets the same punishment that what the people innocent got because of people like her. What else has happened? Ecuador TV studio was invaded by armed men. It was a day after the president declared a state of emergency with huge violent spikes. This was following the escape or breakout of one of the basically gang leaders, a bit more than that, and he kind of got out of prison, and the whole country's just gone to pot. And these people were protesting the fact that they were put under basically martial law because of the government's ineptitude. And the government is run by someone who looks like he's about 17, which doesn't really help, does it? It was also announced that 2023 was the world's hottest ever. Now, I don't think the UK, we didn't really have one of them summers. It was bloody awful in the UK. It was just wet all the time. I love walking in the sunshine. I love getting the sun literally on my back, etc. But all it did was rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. But years ago, I did see a guy and listen to a guy on the TV, and I'm talking many, many years ago, who, when global warming was first touted, possibly by Prince Charles, he said that we wouldn't get Indian summers as in, you know, cracking the flags like 1976 or whatever. We would just get very wet summers, and that's exactly what we're getting now. We're just getting, it just rains all the bloody time, doesn't it? It's an absolute nightmare. But globally, worldwide, it was the hottest year ever. And if you saw the graphs, you'll have seen the difference that year made compared to any other year previous. Absolute amazing stuff. Blinken says civilian deaths are far too high, this is regarding the Gaza war with Israel, which I've already mentioned a little bit. Blinken and Lord Cameron, you know, David Cameron, who's now a Lord and now the Foreign Secretary, because they've run out of people to put in the cabinet who they trust. I mean, Cameron, God, if they're using Cameron as somebody you can trust, then my God, you might as well get Liz Truss back, because you can trust. Maybe she should have been. Anyway, let's move on. But America is still complicit, as far as I'm concerned, with the deaths that are going on in Gaza. Yes, as I said before, Hamas are terrorists, Hamas are evil, Hamas need to be destroyed. But Israel and the rest of the world has got technology where you can take out practically individuals without destroying buildings and stuff like that. And if they're in tunnels, there are ways of getting into tunnels as well. I still say it's ethnic cleansing that's going on in Gaza. And I still say that Israel was fully aware of what was going to happen before it happened, and they allowed it to happen so that they've got this excuse to go in and basically just murder as many people as they can and have the Americans supporting them. But Blinken, to be fair, has said there's too many civilian deaths, but I'm not so sure. David Cameron, Lord Cameron, even said that there might be, they didn't say it exactly, but it was kind of hinting that they might have gone too far and there might be war crimes. Now, this was before South Africa went to the courts. Global warming is a scam, acid rain, hole in the ozone layer, we'll all be underwater by 2000, all nonsenses. You were right, Gatorman. Welcome, by the way, Gatorman, to the channel. That's whatchamacallit, I'm not familiar with. I don't know what you call them, little picture things. So I assume you're quite new. So welcome, and I agree. And I've said, I always say perceived global warming. I never say global warming anymore. As far as I'm concerned, we may have accelerated a fraction what's going on, but the planet, for as long as it's been going, has had swings in temperatures. I mean, you know, what happened to the Ice Age? That was ended long before we came along. Yeah, everyone agrees that there was an Ice Age, and then there was, you know, in the UK there were jungles and things like that in the past as well, with dinosaurs and all that rubbish. So yeah, it's absolute nonsense. But we have to go with what people say because we vote for them. Well, some people do anyway. Talking of idiots, not that I'm referring to people who say global warming is a real thing. They're not necessarily idiots. Well, maybe. But Donald Trump was in court, and it basically implied that he cannot be charged with anything because he was president, and therefore he is, well, he's got immunity to prosecution for the rest of his life, which basically means he could get a gun, go into the centre of New York and shoot as many people as he wants, and because he was ex-president, nothing would happen. I mean, it would make an incredible TV show or movie if you got, you know, what's he called, Biden, Trump, Obama, And all the other living presidents in a van together, going round just shooting people, and then nothing could actually do. The pig is my dog, Rhodesian Ridgeback. Only just discovered your channel. I like this news roundup. Oh, thank you. Andy the Cyclist, another newbie. Welcome, Andy the Cyclist. Getting some new people in today, which is great. I love it when we get new people in. You don't have to agree with everything I say, by the way. Feel free to argue against me, as we did a few weeks ago when I mentioned that I thought that people who give prepubescent children puberty blockers are as guilty as sex offenders and guilty as paedophiles are for messing with genitalia of children. And someone didn't actually like it and had a bit of a disagreement with me. Well, that's fine. That's what it's all about, isn't it? I know I'm right. But I'll still talk to you. It's okay. I don't know if I've retracted the message, Andy, but don't worry about it. It's fine. Anyway, that brings us to Wednesday. Hope you're well. Yes, I'm fine. I'm fine now. I've had a very sore foot this week due to the fact I've not been drinking enough. And not as in drinking enough. I mean as in drinking enough just water, liquid. And I get a very sore foot. But drinking lots and lots of water during the day and a few paracetamol have sorted it out. Anyway, Wednesday came along. It does. Rishi Rich says a bill will be made to clear all of the charges against the post office submasters. So the ones who were found guilty for fraud, etc., over the period due to the Horizon software scandal will be fully pardoned. The only way to do it quickly, because there's so many of them, is to actually have a bill which will just basically abolish all the charges and all the verdicts, guilty verdicts against them, and they will get compensation as well, which seems fair under the circumstances. But it should come out of the pocket of the people who were running the post office at the time and knew what was going on, not necessarily the taxpayers' pockets. Ecuador's state of emergency after the TV studio was invaded. I think we've already done that. Oh yeah, did you know, this is something I found out on Wednesday, I did not know this, that there is a phone line for migrants, illegal migrants, to ring to get help. I did not know this. Is there one for people who are out on the streets, who've served for the British Army in the Falklands or whatever and got mental health issues? Is there a line for young children who are homeless due to having either been abused at home or having fallout with family or whatever and living on the streets? Is there no, just for the migrants. Now, I'm not racist, don't get me wrong, but I think stuff like what we give for the migrants is absolutely ridiculous. Oh right, that's Angela saying hello. Rob Burrows and his mate have been given a CBE on Thursday, presented by Prince William, over the MMD charity work that they've done together. Now, Rob Burrows sadly is coming to end of life with the MMD, and his mate has been doing lots of charity runs, the usual marathons and all that kind of thing, and they've raised millions and millions and millions of pounds for it. So richly deserved CBEs given to them, and in person and by surprise by Prince William. Keir Starmer, he says Labour won't reinstate HS2 from Birmingham to the north. So basically he's saying that although he thinks it's a good idea, that he I don't know what's going on here, it's all getting very confusing. Anyway, sorry, my chat's got a bit weird. Let's carry on, shall we? Yeah, so Keir Starmer has said that the Birmingham to Manchester part of HS2, which was scrapped last year by Rishi Sunak, and I agree with it being scrapped, is not being brought back by Labour, which is weird because it's one of their policies to bring it back. But no doubt, if enough people get offended by the fact that he said that, he will reinstate it if he gets back in. But he's saying now there's no money left because the government have spent it all. Well, does that mean if the government was still going ahead with it and he won the election, he would then scrap it? Or would he have kept it going? Because the money would either be there or not there. The guy's just, I'm terrified that he's going to be worse than Liz Truss as Prime Minister. And I think he will be. The problem is he might be in for 5 years. That's assuming he doesn't resign, because he's actually involved in the post office scandal as well. Is he? Yeah, he is, indirectly. As the prosecution. He was the prosecution counsel or whatever it was. The head of prosecutions for the government at one point, fairly recently. And also the leader of the Lib Dems as well. He was involved with it, and he should resign. Labour and Conservatives are two heads on the same snake. Summer is a joke. New blood needed, so to speak. Absolutely, Gator Man. You are absolutely correct in the fact that they are, as I've said many times on this channel, if I was voting today, as much as I despise what they've done, I would vote for the Tories, because I just know how crap they are. Whereas with Labour, I haven't got a fucking clue what they're standing for. I don't know the policies, I don't know what they're going to do, and it's one of those things where they say, oh, we're going to create all these jobs, we're going to create this big electric energy company from nothing, and we're going to do all this, that and the other, and we're going to get all this money from the non-doms. We're going to get it from the taxes on the energy companies that are making all these extra profits and all this kind of stuff. We're going to do this. And everything seems to come from these same places. And it's like, you can't rebuild the schools. You can't do more green stuff. You can't do all this with the same money. You can only spend it once. It's like when your nan says, I'm going to give you 20 quid for Christmas. And you think, oh, I can buy that new LP. And I'll get a pair of shoes, and I'll get a nice new t-shirt, or I'll buy I don't know, I'll go on a night out with my mates or whatever, and you've spent that 20 quid about 5 times. And that's what Labour policy seems to be. They've got this magic money tree, and it's scaring me. I'm not sure yet, and they haven't decided. Someone's involved for post office scandal, and he was also involved in covering up for Jimmy Savile. Very corrupt individual and not to be trusted. Agreed. I just don't get Labour. And Labour are meant to be, the irony is, and I've said this again many times, so apologies if you're a regular, but I've said many times before, the Conservatives, you know, the Tories, who look after the rich people and ignore the little people, are the only party of the three main parties not with the leader who isn't a knight of the realm. You know, the other ones claim that Rishi Rich is, you know, so rich and all that kind of stuff. They're both knights, they're both sirs, they are both multi-millionaires. There is no difference. We need someone to come through with a new party and just say, look, common sense needs to replace what is going on at the moment. We need to look at things logically. For example, and I've been saying this for a long while, legally, when people come into your country without the right documents, you can return them, this is international agreement, to the last safe country that they were in, which for the majority of people at the moment is France. Problem solved. So we send back the migrants. Sadly, we've lost 5 or 6 overnight leaving France. We need to stop that for 2 reasons. One is people are dying unnecessarily, and the second one is we don't know who these people are coming into this country. So rather than putting them up into hotels, rather than putting them into barges, rather than putting them out on the streets because we've put them through the system, so we just chuck them out on the streets, we send them back to France. France will object, France will get very upset, sacre bleu and all that kind of stuff. Don't care. It's their problem that they've let them get to us. So we send them straight back again. It's perfectly legal to do that. The government won't do it because they don't want to upset France. We're not part of Europe anymore, so stuff that. They go straight back to France. If they object to it, we then charge them €10,000 for every single person we send back to France. We also claim back the millions that we've given them to stop these people coming over from France. Simples. We then obviously have to set up something so people can legally come to this country. So rather than using the bolts, we have centres where we can vet people, see who these people are, make sure they're not paedophiles, mass murderers, terrorists, undercover secret SAS style from Yemen or whatever. We don't know who these people are. We're letting them in. It is ridiculous. We just send them back. Gone. Bye bye. Second, energy. Green energy, waste of time. We forget electric cars. Absolute nonsense, electric cars. They are not environmentally friendly. Just the chemicals alone that's in each battery. The fires that happen when they catch fire that can go on for days. How do you get rid of them all at the end? How much copper and plastic do you need to dig into the ground by digging up the ground to actually put all the charging points in there and all the electricity needed to power them? No, it's green hydrogen is what we need. There is rumours that that's starting to happen now. We need to get that accelerated. We need to make hydrogen cheap. I could make a petrol, I couldn't, but if I had the technology, I could make petrol from a lump of crude oil, but it would cost me thousands and thousands of pounds to do that. And people say that green hydrogen is too expensive. Well, it is if you're only making a small amount, but if you make it on the scale of I don't know, a massive oil refinery, then it becomes really, really cheap. We've already got the infrastructure, we've already got the tankers that we can put the hydrogen in, we've already got the petrol stations we can modify, and even some cars that are being built today could be modified for it as well. So we don't need to dig up all these chemicals, we don't need lithium, we don't need all these acids, we don't need all this plastic, we don't need all this copper. Bish bash bosh, job done. Forget about wind turbines, forget about solar panels in the UK. What is the point? What we need is nuclear power stations. They're a lot safer now than what they were, so get rattling on and sort that out. In the meantime, we still have to use oil and we still have to use gas while we get all the rest sorted out. So just stop oil protesters, slam them in prison, or better still, send them to Rwanda. Apparently we've got a deal to send people we don't want in the UK to Rwanda. They can go there. They don't have much oil or anything down there, so they'll be very happy, won't they? Anyway, Andy Burnham was the best of a bad bunch, re-Labour, and Burnham wasn't good as his term as Mayor of Manchester has shown. Yeah, exactly. Hydrogen is far superior to electric cars, agreed. I do like Burnham for what he's trying to do with public transport and active travel. Yeah, but you're a cyclist. Your opinion doesn't count. Sorry, I'm joking. Yeah, the problem we've got with Andy Burnham is he's Andy Burnham, and you've got sounds really bad. I mean, he's the Scouser running Manchester. I mean, the whole thing is just bonkers. I have no issue with cycle lanes as such. If people want to ride bikes, that's fine. The issue I have with them is being only cycle lanes. Instead of cycle lanes, particularly on roads around Manchester, in the suburbs and all that, they've put these cycle lanes in with posts so that cars can't go on there and buses can't go on there and taxis can't go on there. But how many cyclists use them in an hour? So why don't they make bus lanes which can be used by buses, motorcycles and cyclists? That way everyone can get around. It's a lot safer for everyone because cars are not allowed in there. If cars are stuck in traffic and a bus goes past and then another bus goes past and then another bus goes past and it's the same number of bus because you've been in the traffic for that long, you're going to think, why am I not using the bus? It's quicker. What they've done is they've now shoved the heavily polluting buses and the taxis, because there's still a lot of taxis that use diesel, onto the main roads where they've now reduced the number of lanes because they put cycle lanes in there. It's all part of a plan to reduce the air quality so they can then force us to go down a different route. And I don't agree with that. I think the principle is okay, but where it is feasible, you should have bus lanes, not just cycle lanes. Another thing you could do is canals. Canals across the country, there and everywhere, and particularly in cities, make it easier for cyclists to get onto canals so that they can actually whiz through. It's a lot better for them because there's less traffic. It also takes them off, and it's sometimes a more direct route as well, rather than going all the way around the roads. So we need to use canals, towpaths, and also why not use disused railway lines as well, and make all the disused railway lines into cycle lanes and stuff like that. Burnham is like Jekyll and Hyde. He has some good but also dodgy in many areas. B Network seems to be running well though. What? Have you used B Network? I've heard nothing but people complain about B Network. Buses don't turn up. When they do turn up, there's 3 together, but that's because 2 people are learning the route. Um, they cancel them all the time, and they're getting rid of quite a few. They were supposed to be increasing the number of routes. They're actually getting rid of routes. So the whole thing, it's just not right. I'm also a cyclist, and cycle lanes in general are shite and often dangerous. Well, yeah, possibly. They're very bendy. They're very good for crazy golf, allegedly. Anyway, we've digressed, but I've enjoyed this digression. I do enjoy good digression. Friday, the 12th of January. Good point. I saw they have started to tarmac the towpath near the DW from one of your videos. Yes, they have. They've moved. They've tarmacked from. To be fair, the DW was already paved, but as you go to where Martland Mill is, where the lock is, from there right the way past the overpass of the M6 that goes over the canal has all been levelled and tarmacked and everything, and it's really smart. Although I've not been down it because it's just bloody thingamabobby. Wirral Way is a former railway line that is superb for cycling and walking and runners, etc. Yeah. Oh, ad. You've had an ad. You're not missing anything. Anyway, Friday the 12th, Rishi Rich is in Ukraine. He's looking at the damage from the previous night bombing from Russia, which is still going on. And he pledges another £2.5 billion of aid to Ukraine, mainly in weapons. Now, this is one thing I agree with, I'll be honest. I think we need to try and help Ukraine as much as we can. I know they're not perfect. I know they're not, the most trustworthy people in the world. But I'd sooner have them than the Ruskies. And it's got to be said that I think $2.5 billion in the scheme of things isn't a lot, but it's a lot to them. And if it slows down Russia and makes Putin, who may or may not be dead, who knows, look even more weak than he already does, then that's a good thing. One of my, I won't say she was my childhood, I don't know what the word is, but she's been involved in my life indirectly when I was listening to Radio 1, and that is Annie Nightingale. She was the first female disc jockey, as they were back then, to appear on Radio 1, and did do for the next 50 odd years. So my entire life, Annie Nightingale pretty much, well, no, not really, not by any stretch of the imagination, but for a lot of my life, Annie Nightingale has been on Radio 1, and she's kept up to date with it all as well. She's not one of those who still plays like 70s and 80s music. She was really up to date with the music going on now, and new bands from around the country and even around the world as well. And she had a late night show at the weekends. I must admit I dropped off Radio 1 a few years ago, and I'm now on Radio X. But yeah, I did respect Annie Nightingale. She was a bit mad, but I mean, I think you have to be a bit mad to be a radio presenter, don't you? Anyway, she's passed away sadly at the age of 83. It was announced on Friday. Which brings us to Saturday. Now, Taiwan have elected a new president, despite China warning people not to vote for this person. Now, I don't know, but if a dictatorship that's threatening your country with war tells you not to vote for someone, who are you going to vote for? Yeah, exactly. The person who's standing up to those people and the person who's scaring those people. So yes, you vote for them. So for example, in the UK, if someone told me not to vote for Keir Starmer because if we do, we're going to get invaded by France, then I'd be like, well, they're obviously scared of Keir Starmer, so I'm going to vote for him. I mean, that's the only reason I probably would ever vote for the guy, but you know, you never know. No, you don't. I'll never vote for him, ever, as long as he's leader. I mean, he's one up from Corbyn, but I mean, it's not a big one up. And I've said before, Rishi Sunak is the best Prime Minister we've had for a long while. But that's not saying a lot either. Sorry. A 737 MAX, they seem to be the thing of the week this week, has been put back on the ground after taking off after a crack in the window. Now, I'm not exactly sure whether this is the same one that's been reported today, because this was yesterday, that had a crack in the window screen, which is the bit where the pilot sits. It does feel like the 737 MAX, the Boeing 737 MAX, is one of the worst aeroplanes ever built, even though there's many of them around and only a few of them have crashed. But they've crashed for reasons to do with the way they've been built or the software on them, and that is what's frightening about it. I don't use planes myself, although I'm moderately, completely obsessed with watching on 5 Select these air crash investigation things, although it's filmed in 2004, 2005. It's dated really badly compared to more recent looks at stuff like that. But anyway, we go with it. Sunday, I don't know when that was. Oh yeah, it was today. It's the 14th of January. Did I mention that? 5 dead, sadly, near France on the small boat that I was on about before. Iceland, a brand new eruption which seems to be going to go through the centre of a town. Now the eruptions in Iceland are amazing to look at, but terrifying if you live there. They basically go along a crack in the ground, so you get this curtain of molten rock flying through the air, and it looks spectacular, but it must also be absolutely bloody terrifying. Today also marks the 100 days since the Hamas attack on the 7th of October. Since then, as I said earlier on, 23,000 people have been killed by Israel in Gaza since. 30,000 homes have been destroyed or damaged. Now, I'm not saying that Hamas don't deserve retribution for what they did, but I still say that as far as I'm concerned, Israel were aware of what was going to happen and let it happen, and using that as an excuse to do what they're doing now, and knowing that people like America will support them no matter what. Thank God for South Africa. Jesus. And a new Denmark king after the shock abdication of the Queen, who'd been there for 52 years, the Queen obviously being his mother. Very much similar to our king. He's not a young man, but he's not as old as King Charles III. So we'll have to wait and see if we ever hear from them ever again. World news this week. Now, it's got to be said that this bit is the bit I'm still working on, so you have to bear with me, because I'm not exactly sure where we are. Where are we? Main news, world news, there we go. Dum-de-dum. So we'll start off with news. This is news that's been reported around the world. So this is Australia and America, but I will include other countries as we go through the year. But at the moment I'm sticking with Australia and America. The Hard Mission Festival in Melbourne, they've had 7 people forced into induced comas after MDMA overdoses. 7 people were forced into induced comas at an electronic musical festival in Melbourne after overdosing on MDMA. Victoria Ambulance Union has described the conditions at the Hard Missions Festival as dire, with patients intubated while still on site. It's horrific. Amateur treasure hunter plunges 130 feet to his death in a hole he dug inside his home. What? This is from the New York Post. A man died after falling down a 130-foot hole he dug under his kitchen floor after dreaming there was gold buried under his property. This is in Brazil. He lost his balance, 71-year-old lost his balance and plunged down the massive pit he excavated, which ended up being as tall as a 12-storey building. How the hell you managed to build a hole under your house, in your kitchen, that's 12 stories deep? I mean, that's impressive. But sadly, he tripped in and fell down it, which is tragic. Biden tells hecklers he's pushing Israel to significantly get out of Gaza, which makes no sense. President Biden told hecklers at a campaign event that he's quietly pushing Israel to significantly get out of Gaza, which means nothing. Making the disclosure just days after Israel authorities moved to reduce troop levels in the Palestinian territory. I understand their passion, and I've been quietly working with the Israeli government to get them to reduce and significantly get out of Gaza. I'm using all that I can to do that. Well, you're not, because you're still supporting him. You're still complicit to what's going on, so you're still a war criminal. Just like Bush and Blair. Warped Bluey t-shirt removed from online stores for spreading Palestinian hateful agenda. Yeah, Bluey. Now, my 4-year-old granddaughter has suddenly, from nowhere, fallen in love with Bluey. So I bought her a birthday present that was a Bluey birthday present, and then I bought her a Christmas present that was a Bluey Christmas present as well. And she was made up. It's a bit weird though, going into a toy shop and asking if they've got any Bluey stuff, but you know, needs must. A Bluey t-shirt has been removed from sale after it sparked outrage online. The unauthorised children's t-shirt depicts the Bluey cast wearing Palestinian scarves and sports the slogan, "From the river to the sea, Palestinians will be free." The freedom fighter Bluey t-shirt was being sold by Australian volunteer organisation Free Palestine. Now the problem with that statement is it's basically supporting Hamas, not the Palestinians, and you cannot support Hamas. Hamas are terrorists and Hamas need to be destroyed, but not at the expense. I can only assume that either they've done it deliberately or they're a bit thick. Either way, it's not suitable for children wear anyway. Intact iPhone found after 16,000 foot plunge from Alaska Airlines flight. An iPhone remarkably survived a 16,000 foot plunge after being sucked out of the Alaska Airlines flight that lost a door plug. Oregon resident Sean Bates said he was taking a stroll when he stumbled on the Apple device, which was one of 2 cell phones that blew out of the gaping hole of the depressurized Boeing 737 MAX 9 on Friday. He found the iPhone on the side of the road, still in airplane mode. And it still works, which is quite impressive to be fair. So iPhones are actually stronger than you think. Almost as strong as GameCubes, which apparently you can drop from a height of about 2 foot while they're on, and they still work. Who knew? True story. It also as well, there was, when I was talking about this last week, I said there was a young lad, I think he was 8 or 9, and he was saved from being taken out of the plane when the door plug fell out by his mother, who held on to him, but apparently his shirt came off and went through the hole. So I wonder if anyone's found a young boy's t-shirt and they could return it to him, because that would be a nice thing to do. They'd probably terrify him, to be fair, so maybe not. Seems like a safe time to fly. Well, you probably are, as long as you don't get on a 737 MAX, you'll be fine. Problem is, I wouldn't get on a rocket either, because this started up so positively. First US lunar lander in more than 50 years, rockets towards the moon with commercial deliveries. Yeah, basically the clangers have got Amazon Prime now, and they get next day delivery. So that's what this rocket is doing. It's the first lunar lander in more than 50 years, and it's rocketing towards the moon, apparently, launching private companies into space to make deliveries for NASA and other customers. Astrobotic Technologies lander caught a ride on a brand new rocket, United Launch Alliance Vulcan. The Vulcan streaked through the Florida pre-dawn sky, putting the spacecraft on a roundabout trip to get to the moon. So basically what they're doing is, if you've ever watched Superman, or the original one, the only one I've watched to be fair, or if you've ever watched Star Trek's, and they go around planets to get speed up and then they fly off. Well, that's basically what this rocket was doing to save fuel. It's a genius idea. Except, of course, it's nuts. The Alaska Airlines plane missing door plug was found in Portland teacher's backyard. So again, we've not found the lad's shirt, but we found a couple of mobile phones and the actual door plug. Now, to be fair, the door plug is huge, so it's amazing that it took them that long to find it. But yeah, it was 2 days after the Boeing 737 MAX 9 was forced to make an emergency landing. It was found in a teacher's backyard, which makes you wonder how they didn't notice for 2 days that there was no door plug there. Anyway, back to this Lorna. Yes, R.I.P. to that man who dug the hole. He could have lived in the UK. And we could have had him doing HS2 at bargain price. Very good, Hamilton. US moon landing attempt in jeopardy because of critical fuel leak on private spacecraft. The first US moon landing in more than 50 years was in jeopardy after a private company's newly launched spacecraft developed a critical fuel leak. News later on was it's not getting to the moon. Basically, it's been lost in space. Which was a TV show and a film, if I remember rightly. Franz Beckenbauer, the famous German football legend, reported in Australia 9 News, passed away at the age of 78. Beckenbauer led West Germany to 2 World Cup triumphs, both as a player and a coach, and was known for his beloved personality and easygoing charm. I never met the guy, but I was aware of him, even though I'm not a football fan, which I think is pretty much high praise. Not because I was aware of him, because I'm not a football fan. I mean, just because people who are not football fans knew who he was. Donald Trump tries to quash Georgia indictment, citing executive immunity. This is what I was on about before. I mean, this is the mentality of someone. Former President Donald Trump is taking his presidential immunity ploy south in a bid to get his 13-count indictment on charges of trying to unlawfully reverse Georgia's 2020 election results tossed. In a trio of filings, which largely mirror arguments Trump's attorneys used against special counsel Jack Smith, the 77-year-old's team contended that his actions are concerning the election derived from his official duties. So basically, you can't charge him with anything because he's the president and he's immune from any charges forever. How healthy is drinking water from plastic? Are you like, oh my god, here we go. I drink a lot of water from bottles, I'll be honest. But it's not just on about water, it's also on about Coca-Cola and, well, any drink you drink from plastic. A trailblazing study has discovered that store-bought bottled water contain 10 to 100 times more bits of plastic than previously estimated. At a thousandth of the average width of a human hair, nanoplastics can migrate through the tissues of the digestive tract or lungs into the bloodstream and distribute potentially harmful synthetic chemicals throughout the body. So literally, there's nothing we can do to stop ourselves from being killed by the stuff around us. But no doubt, they said glass bottles, that'd be dangerous as well. MTA's new $700,000 subway gates to keep out fare beaters have been defeated by a simple hack. Forget swiping or jumping. Waving one's hand over an ill-placed sensor is all that's needed to get past a new set of $700,000 subway gates at the MTA. They're testing to crack down on fare beating. The simple hack, first exposed on a TikTok video, was replicated by the Post this week, proving how embarrassingly easy it is to defeat the Metropolitan Transport Authority's shiny new line of defence against turnstile fraud. So basically, you've all seen videos of people jumping over the gates at the railway stations, the underground stations around the world, not just in New York. Or they come up with this brilliant plan of doing it so that you can't jump over them anymore, but you don't need to. Just wave your hand and it'll let you through. Genius. Only in America, except of course it's not. It's all over the place. I blame Michael Jackson. The bad video showed people how to jump over and how easy it was. Although technically that wasn't a real subway station, it was a studio. Thailand to ban recreational cannabis use 18 months after its historic decriminalisation. I can imagine a few countries are going to do a similar thing. In a landmark decision, Thailand became the first in Asia to decriminalise the plant in 2022. But now the new Conservative coalition government that came to power late last year has vowed to tighten legislation surrounding the plant's usage. Cannabis and cannabis-related products will be limited to medical and health purposes only, the bill states. Yeah, because I've been around people, I've not done it myself, I've never done any drug other than alcohol, but I've been around people who do cannabis, and it's not as harmless as what people claim it is. I'm sorry, it is just not. It affects people in many different ways. And I think just legalising it, it's just opening the door to people, particularly people who are easily vulnerable for things, with, you know, mental health issues and things like that. It really does affect them badly. Israel ramps up attacks in southern Gaza despite plan to scale back offensive because they're doing ethnic cleansing. Israel intensified airstrikes across central and southern Gaza. Now, if you remember, this is where they've been telling all the people of Gaza to move to move south, keep moving south, and they've just bombed behind them, destroying the houses and everything, and even bombed a few places where the people are gathering. As I've said before, what is the difference between dropping leaflets telling people to move it to areas that you're going to bomb than putting people on trains? Enough said? Yeah, I think so. But no, Israel, I have no time for the Israelis and the government. I have plenty of time for Jewish people. They are some of the nicest people in the world. But the government of Israel and Netanyahu, absolute beasts. People are eating laundry pods again and landing in hospital. Here's why you should never. You're like, what? This political candidate needs to come clean. 3 people in Taiwan have been hospitalised after eating laundry pods handed out as freebies during the country's current presidential campaign. The trio, who have not been publicly named, allegedly mistook the colourful liquid laundry detergent for candy. So he's handing out... I mean, this is obviously... We've looked at the election results. I don't know whether this is the guy who won or not. I don't know. But why would you hand out laundry pods to people? I mean, even if you stay on them, do not eat. These are laundry pods. Why would people vote for someone who gives you something to wash your clothes? It's like saying, you're a bit smelly, here, have one of these, but vote for me because I give you one of them to wash your clothes with. Yeah, and people have eaten them, and maybe they shouldn't be voted. Maybe that's what the test is. No, you're not. No, I'm sorry, you ate that, therefore you are not eligible to vote in this election because you are stupid. Meanwhile, back in Australian news, Iran-backed rebels bombed by the US and UK. Now, I saw this. I mentioned before about having a sore foot. Well, I had a very sleepless night a couple of nights ago where I didn't sleep at all. Natural selection. He wants to clean up the country. Very good, Luke. I do like them. That's very good, very good. You can stay. The US and UK have launched massive retaliatory airstrikes against Iraq-backed Houthi rebels in Yemen with help of several countries, including Australia. So yeah, basically, I was having a very, very sleepless night, and I'd watched the news at 10, and it said that we may, in the next few hours, be sending in air attacks to Yemen over the Houthi rebels for their attacks on shipping in the Red Sea. And I was trying to get to sleep. I couldn't get to sleep. I think I got about 5 minutes sleep in the whole night. I was absolutely knackered the next day with a really bad pain in my foot. Anyway, I picked my phone up about 4:15, and this actual thing, you see on it says breaking news. This actual image and the writing and everything was on my phone, and it would literally been up for about 8 minutes. So it was massively breaking news. What terrifies me is it's got 2,445 likes, which is a bit worrying. But anyway, yeah, we've attacked them because, well, we're so good at, doing stuff. Should heat waves be named like cyclones are? Now, Nine News Australia has a very bizarre way of asking questions. We've looked at a few of these over the years, but there's a new push to give names to heat waves in Australia to raise awareness of the deadly health risks. According to not-for-profit organisation Renew, heat waves have killed more people than any other natural disaster in Australia since 1900. I mean, what killed people before 1900? That's what I want to know. But anyway, since 1900, heat waves have killed more Australians than anything else. Now, if you live in Australia, and I don't live in Australia, but I'm aware that there are a lot of heat waves in Australia, and I would live my life differently than I do in the UK. Ergo, I don't think naming it necessarily when you've been brought up in Australia, or you moved to Australia, or you live in Australia, is actually going to help anything. And one of my big gripes is that they name these storms that we get in the UK. We're now up to about Z, I think, and we're already like 3 weeks into the naming season. Oh, there's a cloud there, let's name it Brian. There are things, naming storms here is simply scare tactics. Yeah, it used to be called bad rain and sunny day. Exactly, Gator Man, that's exactly what I'm saying. It's It's terrifying that, I mean, you look out the window and you see the weather's going to be crap. You've watched the weather report the night before. We've all got mobile phones which have what the weather is. So you're aware of what the weather is more now than what we were, 40, 50 years ago, even 20 years ago, we're more aware of what the weather is. So I don't believe that naming storms or anything is helpful to anyone. Yellow weather warnings, they give out willy-nilly. Amber weather warnings probably should be yellow weather warnings, and red weather warnings should be amber weather warnings, and red weather warnings should be stuff that we've not had yet. Maybe that tornado in Staley Bridge a couple of weeks ago. All part of pushing the climate change narrative. Absolutely, Gator Man. It's all part of the blob, or whatever you want to call it, the people running the world that we don't know about. It's all about them controlling us, and I don't agree with it at all. Excuse me, mouse. Thank you. But anyway, what can you do? Nobody knows. A woman airlifted after snake bites her in bed. A woman in her 20s was flown to Toowoomba Hospital early this morning, or that morning, after an eastern brown snake bit her while she was asleep in bed. The woman's family applied bandages to the snake bite before paramedics arrived to supply with anti-venom. See, this is one reason why I would never live in Australia. The heat waves. They should have snake warnings and spider warnings. We had a snake in a toilet last week or the week before, and how many people have been bit by spiders? I watched a bit of We're the Millers recently. It was the bit where the young lad, the guy with the weird eyebrows, gets bitten as a tarantula walks up his trouser leg while he's driving the bus or something, and he drops his pants and he's got a massive swollen gentleman's left or right ollock. And it's like, yeah, why would you go places where, I mean, okay, it was a tarantula and it was a comedy show, but why would you go to Australia? I really don't get it. Yeah, let's go to Australia and let's, just dodge death every time we go to the loo. Put a shoe on, go to bed, put a shirt on, open our drawers. I mean, there's a thing where another snake was found in a child's underwear drawer. Shocking. Look at the weather maps. The sun used to be a smiley sun face on the map. Not now, it's a huge red and black mess to look menacing. You're right. Right, this is Australia news, and it's showing a bus in London, which wasn't necessarily reported on the UK press, that's caught fire. It's not just any bus. Guess what? It's an electric bus. Yep, and they had to replace the tarmac because the fire was so intense. Environmentally friendly. Look at all them chemicals. Look at all that gas and stuff that's being chucked up into the atmosphere. Hi Stuart, hope you're good. Welcome. Russia condemns the US and UK for irresponsible strikes on Yemen. Yeah, brilliant. Russia condemned the United States and Britain for military strikes on Yemen, which Moscow said amounted to an irresponsible adventure that risks sowing chaos across the entire Middle East. Well, what they're doing in Ukraine is perfectly alright. I mean, talk about double standards. Mind you, it is Russia. Democrats fume after Biden orders Yemen airstrikes without congressional approval. Unacceptable violation of the Constitution, they say. Several Democrats on Capitol Hill scolded President Biden for launching airstrikes against Houthi targets in Yemen without congressional approval, arguing that the action was unconstitutional. The president needs to come to Congress before the launching a strike against the Houthis in the future. Pot kettle black Mr. Putin. Yeah, exactly. Although I kind of almost agree with them, which is weird. Russia pounds Ukraine with a barrage of 40 missiles and drones in early morning onslaught. This is what Rishi Sunak went to see, although I don't think when he was flying over there he knew it had happened. Russia pounded Ukraine with a barrage of 40 missiles and drones, according to reports. The air attack started at 5 a.m. local time and lasted 3 hours, sending residents scrambling to air raid shelters in the country's southeast, including the cities of Kyiv and Lviv around the north. The Ukraine Air Force said the Russians launched 37 missiles and 3 drones. But of course that's fine, because that's Russia and Ukraine, but you can't have America and the UK bombing terrorists in Yemen. Mind you, I kind of agree. The Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 comic book sells for over $1.3 million. This comic book's price tag made collectors' spidey senses tingle. A near perfect copy of The Amazing Spider-Man #1 sold for over 1.3 million at auction, breaking the record for the highest price the issue has ever fetched on the block. The unrestored copy of the Marvel Hero self-titled series debut was purchased for a staggering bid of $1,380,000 through Dallas-based Heritage Auctions. Yeah, Spider-Man is my favourite superhero. Hi T, by the way, if you're on. Spider-Man is my favourite superhero, and yeah, I kind of wish I had one of them so I could sell it, to be fair. I'll be honest with you, just sell it. Boy 14 killed in subway surfing in New York City with devastating aftermath captured by Post photographer. A 14-year-old boy was killed subway surfing in Brooklyn, and the devastating aftermath was captured in heart-rendering images taken by one of their photographers who was there, including one of a single sneaker lying beneath the elevated tracks. Witnesses told police that the teen had climbed atop a southbound F train as it approached the Avenue N stop. Basically, it's a trend. We've covered this before, and it is just tragic that teenagers, to do videos for TikTok and Snapchat and all that kind of stuff, think it's cool to literally climb on top of trains. And in New York City, there's a lot of overhead stuff, and if you're stood on top of a train, they're not designed for people to stand on top of, the things that go over the tracks. And there's been many tragic accidents, including decapitation and various other horrific injuries. We see and we joke about people in India when you see a train and it's got like 15 billion people on the outside of the train. But although that is dangerous, it's not the same as riding a subway in New York or anywhere else, because there's very little there that's going to impact on anyone. You know, it's very open in India where the trains are. But yes, tragically, too many children are losing their lives because of social media, and I can only assume that's what it is. Japan Boeing plane makes emergency landing after crack found in cockpit window. Oh, this is what I was on about. A Boeing plane was forced to make an emergency landing after the crew found a crack in the cockpit window. The fracture was found on the outermost of 4 layers of window surrounding the cockpit. All Nippon Airways spokesman had said. The pilot made an about face and returned to the Sapporo Nuchites airport. So yeah, I mean, what is wrong with the planes today? I think it might be the fact that a lot of people have been making money and trying to save money on planes because of fuel costs, so maybe maintenance isn't as good as it was. But either way, that's just not good at all. Now I forgot where I am. I'll be honest with you, I forgot where I am on this. Oh, world news. Okay, there we go. Which brings us to the news that makes me go, huh? Things that make you go, or or ah, or and maybe not that last one. Well, no, anyway. Also a bit of Banksy thrown in there as well, and I don't mention this not before, but I'm a Formula One fan. I know. If you've experienced delays on the Northern Line recently, my apologies. Sigrid is new to the job. It's a little talk. I mean, obviously we haven't got to the stage where we're letting canines drive trains, but it does feel like it at times. Now this is funny. Hopefully you can see it fully. Yeah, you can. That's good. The bottom one would be slightly lower. Lewis and George need to recreate the pose. So this is Lewis and what was he called? How soon we forget. Oh, when they were teammates anyway at Mercedes, and they basically recreated the Mercedes badge. But now George Russell is the teammate of Lewis Hamilton, so they did it again. Someone's done an artist's impression of what it will look like. So yeah, and this is good as well. 15-year-old shirt did not sport the club's sponsor, so someone's actually thought this through. Roy Finneran became Blackburn Rovers' youngest ever player, aged just 15, when he played in their FA Cup win over Cambridge United, but his shirt did not support the club's sponsor, Vape from Totally Wicked. Rovers said the legal vaping age in the UK was 18. Under 18 players could not wear the firm's logo, which is correct. So yeah, fair play to Blackburn Rovers. So you can see there his shirt, his chest area is clear of the vaping Totally Wicked symbol that all the other players would have had. And can't argue with that. It's the same if it was a betting company as well. Any player under the age of 18 who plays in the first team should not wear a betting company's shirt. Oh, something not nice. Jeffrey Epstein had sex tapes of Prince Andrew and other visitors, claims a victim. Jeffrey Epstein secretly recorded Prince Andrew, Richard Branson and Bill Clinton, that's one I was going to think of before, among others having sex in his Twisted Island, according to claims from Sarah Ransom, one of Epstein's victims. Can you imagine anything nicer than seeing Prince Andrew's bottom? No. Hello Reese, hope you're good. Meghan Markle wanted to meet with King Charles to demand answers, said expert. Who does she think she is? Shut up, Meghan. Sorry. Not really. Alaska Airlines window blowout, reality shared. People would have disappeared. The jet suffered a sudden loss of cabin pressure after a part of the fuselage separated from the main body of the aircraft, pulling a boy's shirt off his back at 16,000 feet. I knew I'd read that somewhere. I couldn't remember where I read it. Cheery news. There's always cheery news. But this is the fun bit. This is the best bit of the news. Anders Breivik, who killed 77, mourns solitary confinement, breaches his human rights. Well, let's just make sure that he never speaks to anyone ever again. Bloke comes face to face with goblin in tree, left feeling chills. They're multiplying, and he's losing control. There's a goblin, it is spying. It's electrifying. A man who claims to have found a population of goblins living in a forest near his home has shared a video of supposedly showing one of the mythical creatures hiding up a tree. And as we can see, he's used a cine camera from the 1960s because that's all they can ever use. A woman finds possible Bigfoot poo with monster turd wider than a Coke can. Now I don't know what she's got a finger in there, but that is not a monster poo. I think it's a hair clip actually, thinking about it, I don't know. A woman has shared images of what she believes might be Bigfoot poo after stumbling across, it was touching cloth. Well, it wouldn't be, would it? Because I don't think Bigfoot wears clothes. Stumbling across a Goliath turd, she said, was wider than a Coke can and looked like a stone. Love? It was a fossilised dinosaur poo, you stupid. Anyway, scaffolders get revenge on rude motorist who refused to move their car. A motorist mouthing off at scaffolders was left boxed in by the workers who took petty revenge on the bloke who refused to move his car to another parking spot. And this is what they did, which is brilliant. They basically put scaffolding around the car. I think that is fantastic. And they interviewed one of the scaffolders. And now, think of a scaffolder. We've all seen scaffolding, and think what they look like. Most of them, to be fair, are quite young. Think of the time of year. It's winter, it's cold, it's all that kind of stuff. So what picture do they use of this scaffolder? That. Elliot and his workers decided to box in the rude bloke with scaffolding. Well, there you go. And he's posted a picture of himself Like he's a bloody model from I don't know, one of the popular magazines for a certain class of people. Prince Harry airbrushed from Army book after boasting about Afghan kills. Prince Harry's been dealt a fresh blow after he was left out of an Army book detailing Sanders' most notoriable alumni, despite undertaking 2 tours of Afghanistan. So basically, yeah, because he mouthed off about how good he was at killing people, which is not what you do when you're in the army. You're doing something to serve the monarchy and the country. You're not doing it to brownie points. Yeah. The whole Reese has put, that's one way to measure something wider than a Coke can. To be fair, that might be the only thing she had on her at the time. But we've all had poos like that, haven't we? Look at it, like, how's that come out of me? Warning, anti-climb paint. And Banksy, obviously, and it's got rats all over it. Painted, not real rats. Another Banksy. We're all in the same boat. And it's just a really heavily polluted, undredged stream, which probably causes flooding in the local area. How do you know when it's cold? You know it's a bad day when you get your wiener stuck in the snow. And it's basically the Wiener car, which is a publicity vehicle used by a sausage company in America, a hot dog sausage company, that has gone off and in the verge on the embankment of a freeway in America in the snow. MTA's, no, I've done that one. I've done that one. That's not funny news. That's like news. Jeffrey Epstein's wild cross-dressing Bill Clinton painting has secret meaning. Hanging in the hallway of Jeffrey Epstein's mansion was ex-US President Bill Clinton sporting a dress and heels. Now the picture has resurfaced and critics say it's got a secret meaning. So that is actually a painting. To be fair, I've no idea what's going on. But it's just insane. US government could be sent to admit it's been hiding real-life alien TARDIS. The US government may be hiding a real-life captured TARDIS, according to an intelligence expert, who added some 10 UFOs have been retrieved after coming into contact with the Earth's surface. Yeah, no, absolute tosh. As someone pointed out the other day, on some media somewhere, if aliens have made it all the way to Earth, why the hell did they only show up to drunk people in the middle of forests at 2 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of nowhere? Why don't they land in the middle of a, you know, like the FA Cup final, or the King's coronation, or the inauguration of the President of the USA, or New Year celebrations? You know, fly underneath the Sydney Harbour Bridge while the fireworks are going off. Yeah, absolute nonsense. Everyone's favourite dictator. To be fair, he's becoming more popular because we realise that he's more of a divvy than the other ones. Dictator Kim Jong-un threatens to annihilate South Korea in chilling warning. The North Korean tyrant says South Korea would be annihilated, with Pyongyang mobilising all means available if the dinky despot and his government was provoked. So basically, don't poke him. But you wouldn't do, because he might pop and God knows what will come out of him. Morrison's hit with customer backlash after deploying Robocop cameras on aisles. The dystopian looking devices have previously been used on construction sites to monitor security, but this is believed to be the first time they've been used in supermarkets. Yeah, what's wrong with the usual cameras we have? I mean, Tesco's and places like that. Hair looks better than usual. Well, yeah, I mean, to be fair, I still cut my own hair. I was inspired by Kim Jong-un. I still cut my own hair, and it is getting better every time I cut it, because I'm learning more how to do it. It's still shite, but it's better than it was. He's been doing it longer than me, so he's got to the stage where it's alright now. But yeah, these pod things are absolutely ridiculous. I mean, for a start, they're at crotch level. So it's basically filming, you know, if it's summertime, you've got a pair of shorts on that are quite tight, which a lot of people seem to do for some strange reason, then they're going to be filming that. They're going to be filming your kids' faces and stuff like that. Why don't they just have CCTV in the ceiling like they normally do, or on the aisles, or even on the actual shelving pointing down? It just seems ridiculous, and I would backlash it as well, because that's what we do. We backlash. 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 Warning, warning, warning. Worst snowstorm in 14 years to hit the UK with 40 centimetres and -15 in matter of days. An historic blizzard looks to be on the horizon from next week, bringing heavy snow and freezing temperatures to people right across the country. One forecaster saying the risk is higher than any year since 2010. Now, my mother, who is 88, 89 this year, she remembers when she was a child. She lived in a terraced house, 2 up, 2 down. No running water, nothing like that. In the 1930s, 1940s. And basically Coronation Street, but on both sides. So if you don't really know what a terraced house is, think Coronation Street, but not as fancy as Coronation Street. They were a lot more basic back then. But anyway, the whole area was just covered in these houses. And they got up one morning, they opened the bedroom windows, and they couldn't see the windows of the houses opposite, the ground floor windows. It had snowed overnight. Everyone went to bed early then, about 10 o'clock at night, because it was dark, there was no TV, there was no electricity, so you just go to bed. And the snow had fallen overnight, and it had covered straight the way across the street and all the streets and the railway lines and everything. There's pictures of railway lines and stuff like that where the snow was. And they opened the front door and it was literally just snow all the way to the top. You couldn't see daylight. It was dark downstairs because of the snow. So yeah, I mean, oh God, 40 centimetres of snow. Oh, what are we going to do? What's this now? I'm going to get stuck in it on Wednesday when I go to my mum and try and take her to hospital for an appointment. But anyway, yeah, and they'll probably name it as well, won't they? Damn, I forgot about this daytime change. Hi, Alan. 10-foot alien spotted on hill days after similar being seen in shopping centre. Again, filmed. This is on Brazil, to be fair. Lanky extraterrestrials were filmed by a shocked onlooker in Brazil days after shadow aliens were spotted in Miami, with many left scratching their heads over the strange encounters. Yeah, I mean, look at it. You know, we're in the day of 4, 5K, 8K, 12K, 150K, and they're still filming it on VHS. UK weather maps show 3 centimetres of snow per hour to hit millions this week, because this was last week. A monster blizzard bringing up to 3 centimetres of snow per hour is expected to move across the country on one day next week, which weather forecasters warning temperatures could drop as low as -15. No. Ideal weather to dress like this. Blokes given green light to wear boxers 2 days in a row. The baggier the better. Lazy blokes, probably, thrilled about the news that they can wear their pants 2 days in a row, but it's not all good news as they can suffer from the fungal infection known as jock itch. So yeah, you can wear your pants for 2 or 3 days, but you will get a fungal infection. I mean, yeah, thanks. That's brilliant. I mean, I change mine every day anyway. And again, I must complain that they've used, admitted, an old photograph of my body and put a young man's head on it, which I must object to. And I still have those boxer shorts that he's wearing as well. In fact, I've got them on now, but I can't show you because this is YouTube, not OnlyFans. NHS doctor demands Brits mask up as out of control coronavirus runs wild. Positive cases of coronavirus have risen sharply in the UK in recent weeks, with the hospitalisations also on the rise, leading to the NHS doctor to urge Britons to don masks once more. I've still got my masks, to be fair. I never threw them away. I've got the reusable ones that you wash. So if needs be, I'll get them out, but I don't think we need to at the minute. Man finds mangled deer with twisted neck and no bones, where Bigfoot was seen. Whoa. A man has shared a gruesome image of the mangled deer corpse he found in a Bigfoot sightings hotspot, and he reckons the elusive beast might be responsible for it. No, I can tell he's responsible for it, but not yet. That's coming up. Something to look forward to. Taiwan issues urgent phone alert after China flies a missile over its airspace. Taiwanese emergency alerts warned of a Chinese missile flying into the country's airspace, causing panic on Twitter/X over what appeared to be something different entirely, but it doesn't tell us what it is, and I don't go for clickbait, so we'll have to leave it at that, won't we? Star Trek casts real-life space mission botched in attempt to put ashes on moon. The remains of show creator Gene Roddenberry, and stars James Doolan, Scotty, DeForest Kelley, Dr. McCoy, and Nichelle Nicholas, Lieutenant Uhura, were on board the aptly named Vulcan rocket which blasted off from Florida. But sadly, they ain't going to get there. They're just going to float around in space forever. Now, weirdly, before I started this, I watched a bit of an episode of Star Trek, and it's getting weird. Captain Kirk was pretending to be a horse, ridden by a dwarf. Spock was crying and then laughing, and McCoy was looking very serious. And I'm like, what the hell? I used to watch this shite. The original Star Trek has not aged well. It's all done in the same bloody studio, because the next on the before or after, you never forget which way it is, plus +1 and all that kind of thing. They're in the same, what looked like the same studio, but it was a different planet completely. Don't say it. Oh dear, oh dear. Oh, very good. It didn't mention also that there's a train track nearby. Just saying, hashtag. UK COVID chaos as deaths skyrocket and sick Brits pile onto packed hospitals. Despite pleas from health bosses, the UK has seen a huge rise in coronavirus cases over the last 2 weeks, with an increase in deaths also reported nationwide. Now, to be fair, we always get an increase of death when the weather is bad, and the weather's been bad. Putin old friends hardly recognise him. As experts say, that's proof he's dead. Vladimir Putin has complained that his old friends often no longer recognise him, as rumours continue to swirl that the Russian dictator regularly uses body doubles. So if he complains that his friends don't recognise him, then it's him, isn't it? But if he doesn't recognise his friends because he's not him, because he's one of his body doubles, then they wouldn't recognise him either. But he wouldn't know that they didn't recognise him because he wouldn't recognise them. So that'd be a non-story. What's the worst Christmas present you've ever had? If you live in China, Chinese kid on Christmas getting the same toy he made 5 hours ago. Sad, but true, I can imagine. Also as well, we've seen stories of snakes, rats, birds, cats climbing into cars and things like that to keep warm when it's cold. So please be careful in the winter. Sometimes animals snuggle close to warm cars for heat. Make sure you check around your car in case an animal is hiding. And there's an example of such an occurrence, which seems reasonable. The big question is, how did it get there, and is Jeremy Clarkson driving that car? Friendly reminder to turn off your computer before midnight. Do you remember the Millennium Bug? Remember, turn your computer off before midnight on the 31st of the 12/99. You've got to remember, in America, because it's Best Buy, in America they do the dates wrong. They do the month first, then the date, and then the year. So for us it'd be the 31st of the 12/99. You know, the Millennium Bug. That was when aeroplanes were going to fall out of the sky. They genuinely thought aeroplanes were going to fall out of the sky, but they never thought of grounding them. I mean, you know, if they're serious, if the risk is that serious, why don't you make it so there are no aeroplanes flying for, let's say, an hour before or after the millennium in the time area that it's at? I mean, you know, as it happened, it was all bullshit, but, you know, someone made a lot of money out of it with all the antivirus software that was sold. A Beamer, yeah. British town slammed as dump with sea view that hasn't changed in 30 years. The seaside town of Weston-super-Mare has become a bleak shadow of itself, according to fuming TripAdvisor reviews, which levelled the place as a dump with a sea view. Now, I've been to Weston-super-Mare. I did a film. I filmed Weston-super-Mare. I can't remember which one it is, but if you go on the playlists that I have on the YouTube channel, and you click on I can't remember whether it's Let's Visit or Let's Explore or Let's Walk Around, but Weston-super-Mare, I must admit, it wasn't the best holiday resort I've been to, and the Grand Pier was not grand, and they actually charged you for going on the pier, so it was empty, even though it was a hot day. But it's not the worst place I've ever been to. Christ, Christ, I've been to New Brighton. Britain to be colder than Iceland as country shivers in 13 centigrade snowstorm. What? Yeah, someone's got a typo there. Let's move on, shall we? Cuddly XL pup savaged by crazed cat during first walk with the muzzle on. A dog owner has been left devastated after their beloved cuddly XL bully pup was mauled by a vicious cat during its first muzzled walk, leaving the pooch with horrific facial injuries. I'm sorry, I don't know any cat ever that would go and attack a dog. I mean, it would have to be a crazy cat, not a vicious cat. New Brighton is nice. Alan, I'm going to take away your moderation spanner if you keep coming out with rubbish like that. Cuddly XL puppy savaged by crazed cat. No, I think this is someone saying that cats are more dangerous than dogs. And yeah, my XL puppy is a lovely, lovely animal, and I don't understand why people are picking on them. Yeah, I've never had a cat, other than, like, you know, a big cat, kill people. Anyway, remember the... oh, where was it? There it is. Remember the deer with a twisted neck and no bones? And I said I'd tell you what it was later on. Mystery Mexican alien corpse explained as scientists provide simple verdict. A group of alien corpses found in Peru and transported to Mexico have been baffling scientists and extraterrestrial fans for months, but boffins have finally solved the mystery behind the otherworldly remains. Yeah, basically they're a mixture of animal bones and kind of fossils that have all been stuck together. So yeah, that deer may be part of these things. Who knows? New Brighton's had a massive investment in the past few years. They have done a good job, and that world stretch of beach is super clean. New Brighton is a hole. Funnily enough, I did a film there. They've got a cinema and a complex thing near the beach, which is quite nice. Yeah, that's okay. But as soon as you cross the road, you've got derelict hotels. You walk around the corner, you've got something that looks like it's been there since the year dot, with like paint peeling off and stuff. You've got a defunct fort thing. You've got the only thing I did like about it was the lighthouse that you could walk to, but apparently don't walk to it because people have drowned walking to it because the tide comes in fucking quick. I bought a chicken and gravy pie the other day, and I noticed the box had a serving suggestion, which simply featured a picture of the pie with a slice taken out of it. Thanks for that. I plan to roll it in a cylinder and shove it up my arse. That is from Top Twips, or Letters. The beach between Leeson Lighthouse and New Brighton is amazing. You're thinking of Morecambe. No, Morecambe is completely different, because Morecambe is a different kind of hole. I know Morecambe even better, and guess what? I've done a video there as well. They've got a nice long prom. They're possibly building this new centre thing. I can't remember what it's called, but they're building that, which looks like mussels and things like that. And they've got the old haunted theatre that they're doing up, which I filmed in. So yeah, Morecambe is nice. Author who wrote How to Murder Your Husband jailed for, guess what? Killing her husband. Nancy's trial heard that she owned the same make and model of gun used to shoot her husband, and despite her initial claim that she had been at home at the time, she had been spotted on CCTV. Eden Project, that's the one. Eden Project, which I think is a waste of time, to be fair, but anyway. World's shaggiest sheep, Shrek, carried 27 kilogram fleece. Oh, 415. We had a cat that went for a dog because the cat was pregnant at the time. That would make sense. That would make sense. Doesn't make them crazed though, does it? Doesn't make them crazed. A Welsh shaggy sheep, Shrek, carried 27-kilogram fleece after hiding in a cave for years. The Merino sheep, named Shrekapoo, or Shrek for short, grew a massive fleece while constantly evading capture in New Zealand for 6 years, carrying around a 27-kilogram of wool when he was finally caught. Bit like our sheep that we had. Do you remember? I can't remember what it was called now. But yeah, that was a good sheep. I enjoyed that sheep a lot. Which brings us to breaking news, which I'll hold on for, because I've just seen that an advert's come in. Apologies, didn't see that come in. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Let me know when the adverts have gone, and I will carry on with the breaking news, because there is breaking news. There is actually breaking news. This is quite a nice story, actually. Liverpool fans want to grant dying wish for Sven-Göran Eriksson. Now, he was the former England manager and allegedly had an affair with a TV personality. And he was also manager of a few other football clubs as well, and has revealed that he's got terminal cancer. One of his wishes was he always wanted to manage Liverpool. So the supporters are saying, why don't we let him manage them for one match? So that might work. Right, what we got? Met Office warns heavy snow is set to hit Greater Manchester. Brilliant. Post Office warned it could face Post Office warned it could face insolvency over a £100 million tax bill. Turns out that the Post Office paid its senior employers, i.e. the people in the boardroom, millions of pounds in bonuses, whilst not paying compensation they paid some compensation. This is where it gets complicated. They paid some compensation to some of the postmasters who were falsely charged, but not a lot of compensation. But they deducted that from the tax. But they paid millions of pounds of bonuses to the people in the boardroom, but they didn't mention that on tax. So that means now it's all been found out that they've now gotten a bill, or they will be getting a bill for about £100 million, which would make them bankrupt. So we would have no post office in the UK. Brilliant. Asda introduces 4-day working week trial as threatened strike is postponed. McDonald's unveils 10 days of epic deals, including £1.49 Big Mac and 99p Chicken McNuggets. Why is everyone sick at present? The UK's various winter illnesses explained. I think it's because it's been damp, it's been cold, then it's been a bit warm, then we're going into warm buildings, then everyone's kind of on top of each other, and not in a rude way, and it's winter, so yeah, people get ill. Palace consider putting a regent on the throne as late as Queen... what? Palace consider putting a regent on the throne as late Queen's health worsened. Alright, so by that they mean put someone in to represent the Queen rather than the Queen, because her health had deteriorated quite rapidly. But to be fair, she did bloody well for nearly 100 years old. NHS medicine shortage putting lives at risk, pharmacists warn. 4 London spots highlighted as some of the UK's most depressing places. And the image they've got has got a CEX shop on it and a tram as well. UK Council could go bust due to £60 million hole in special needs spending. Yep, so that's that. Art Deco Blackpool landmark gets green light for holiday flats. Sunak faces pressure to toughen Rwanda bill from various people. 6 arrested. This is one of the breaking things. 6 arrested over a suspected plot to disrupt London Stock Exchange. It would have been tomorrow. One of the people has been arrested in Liverpool, and apparently they were going to disrupt the London Stock Exchange tomorrow in protest at the Gaza war. And I couldn't figure out whether they were on the side of the Palestinians or on the side of the Israelis. But either way, not good, no matter how you look at it. 5 people dead after attempting English Channel crossing. We've mentioned that already. China congratulate... No. China criticises UK and US for congratulating the winner of the Taiwan election. How dare you? Couple on Icelandic trip alarmed but excited to see erupting volcano. I would be very excited to see erupting volcano as long as I was quite a long way away from it. Dum-de-dum. No Ellesmere Port trains to run tomorrow due to freezing conditions. And that was put up 5 hours ago. Right, I think that is it for the breaking news. So let's have a look at what's been going on. What does everyone think about the Bates vs Post Office drama documentary? I didn't watch it. I watched it at the time. Yeah, the problem we've got is China have got us by the short and curlies, literally, because they've basically taken over all the manufacturing and all the other stuff that we used to do by undercutting us. And the greedy companies and greedy governments have said, yeah, go on then, I'll tell you what you can do. Why don't you make all this stuff for us cheap and then ship it over to us for less money than it costs us to do it, and then we don't have to do it. And then we get unemployment. We get stagnant economies, and then if China decide they're falling out with us for some reason, we end up in a recession because we can't get the goods we need. It's true, think about it. So China could be very dangerous in a weird way. Right then, so how long have we been on for? Been on for 1 hour and 36 minutes, which is a bit longer than what I anticipated being on. Yeah, we've got 10 people watching at the minute. We've had 7 likes, which is a little bit lower than usual, but I'll take 7. We've had 52 views. Average duration is 15 minutes and 43 seconds. We've had highest number of people watching has been 12 for quite a long period of time as well. So hopefully the people have enjoyed it, and we've had people joining in the chat. So a big shout out to everyone who's been in the chat. You've still got time now to just say hi if you want, and I'll give you a shout out at the end. So Angela O'Kane, Luke William, Hamilton Caven Lewis, Gator Man, Andy the Cyclist. You were the main ones at the beginning. And then we got Luke Williams, Stuart Weir, Reese, Alan Barton, late arrival, and then Wound Me Up. We've also got most of the people. Then China and Russia become a very dangerous scenario together. The BRICS alliance is also worrying. Oh no, Kieran Maguire Banks, yo-yo. Up and down, up and down, up and down. Back and forth, back and forth. Yeah. So, you can always watch it back. Don't forget, you can listen to this as a podcast. And you can also watch it back on YouTube as well. You're on the playlists. Do this every week at around about 9 o'clock on a Sunday, British time, 9 PM that is, whether it's BST or GMT. Currently we're on GMT, but it'll be changing to BST in March. I've already noticed it's getting lighter. Come out of work at R4 today and it was still moderately light. The weather, not the, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, thank you very much for watching, if indeed you still are. And yeah, it's been a good one today. I appreciate the input from you guys. I am working on a way, if anyone's interested, of having you actually on the stream in a little box. I haven't figured out how to do it yet. That's a work in progress. Because there might be slight delay of what you say and what I say, and it might all get very complicated. But yeah, I'm working on possibly doing something like that. But again, it's all technology, isn't it? So yeah, you take care, look after yourselves. Yeah, you have a good night as well, Reese. And all being well. And yeah, all bubbly considering what's going on around the world. Yeah, it's we try and keep it light-hearted, but I'm also serious when I need to be as well. What is going on with my hair? Usual, it's just falling out now. Anyway, you take care. As I always say, I'll be seeing you until next time. Bye! I've gone. Or have I? I don't know. I think I have. But I don't know. I'm still on here, so I still think I'm on. But I think I've gone. Oh, no, I've done that. So I'm going to go, bye! Bye!